And we are back to full circle of empathy. This is the last bit of the curve to close off the circle. And because we've explored different theories from different places, some more partial to some theories than others, but I want to bring it home, right? And this is something that's very real to me. So the question I would like to ask is, do we think we can use Carnival as a teaching aid to our young men, boys, women, and girls? What all are we talking about here? Sexuality, consent, boundaries, because this is something that we put considerable energy, not just money and resources, but we put energy into this event that happens. And if this is a convergence point, can we also repurpose it for teaching?
I mean, the whole of Carnival, right, in its entirety.
Oh, well, we'll have to look at it. We'll have to look at it. But does the potential exist?
This is a card question?
Yeah, of course.
This one is a card question.
I really want to hear from you.
No, but what the cards though? I ain't see nobody else cards.
That's not
I know I'm just here to go.
You can't do that. What is that?
Benji, you lead the charge because they like the still figure in it.
No. Only lead up to
That's not what it is.
on the road.
Everything.
Right? The whole thing.
Everything.
No. Colonial construct devised to placate and destroy our ritual, our traditions. The whole thing has caused us not to revolt, has caused us to cooperate, has caused us to be passive, has been used by our political directorate to create a new Trinidadian since 1955 who not making no sense.
If we use it as real, you know?
I do not believe in using the colonizers' tools to liberate us. Wait, this is just
I agree all day long.
I'm not under that. No, I was under that. This is a new position, but I will clear. Amoko Jambi is a sacred, specific healer that comes from a specific place. 99.9% of them just walking on stilts.
Oh, and I said somebody talk about Juve recently with Juve parties.
The first fetes held by the African dance societies were designed to generate money to liberate enslaved who are arrested and in jail.
Alright, yeah.
Tried not doing that. I love violence. I'm not vexed with nobody. But I'm saying, Rondel Benjamin, I'm very clear now that we made a deviation 400 or 500 years ago. Some of us didn't agree with it and we went up into the hills because I come from Maroon blood, I'm American. No. If you ask my grandfather and them, well, slavery, they say we want slaves. So don't come wrong with that.
There's something you always say, we weren't slaves, but we were captives of war.
No, worse than captives of war. You know what they call it in a concentration camp? What is called people in concentration camps? No. Prisoners of war.
Prisoners of war, right.
500 years of being a prisoner of war, PTSD, trauma. And the one little thing that we do to make we feel happy so that we don't burn down the plantation, going and be the primary deliverance mechanism of our liberation.
And the bastardization of our own culture, that the only thing that's left for us that belongs to us, they bastardize it. And
1884, when they passed the law, the Trini, what we just call Port of Spain beige now, the Port of Spain beige said the Callender Cambole version of Carnival has been banned. We're going to fill that space with some kind of soft halfway thing that they will accept. So we're going to make sure Massa happy. So we're going to put on the clown minstrel suit, ching, and underneath we will slip in some little subversive stuff.
Innuendos.
Yeah, you know. But we're not even liming with them Cambole Calendar people. You know why? We have a problem.
Question.
They want to burn down the place. But that's just me.
No,
I'm
question.
sorry.
Question. All right.
Sorry.
All right. Question. All right. According to wait. Based on your discovery in your journey now, have you discovered a philosophy, an ideology, a practice that can be more useful?
If you look at from Louisiana to Brazil, there's something called Black Atlantic thought. We have people like Sylvia Winter, Catherine McKittrick. It's how people all the work do, you know. It do. When we were in UE, I realized I never even coming up with new things. It do. But there's some gulf where we don't understand that in Louisiana it was called Callender, in Puerto Rico and Borneo it was called Bambula. You'll call it, like in each island it had a different name. But we've already evolved systems of thought, initiation, sacred practices that are new world, that have been able to attend to the trauma. We solve the problem, you know. You know, we come and solve the problem and then jettison the technology that gets us out of it.
So
Haiti, the technology ran in Haiti. It successfully produced liberation. Then as soon as that happened, the rest we pull back and say, nah, that program not working good.
But okay, so in calling what we have as our carnival now the colonizers tool, does that not erase any sort of agency or any sort of reformulation, any sort of ownership, any sort of usness? Is it to say that something was shoved down our throat and we were so disempowered that we took that on wholesale to the point where nothing in there is ours?
I was saying that is an adaptation, you know, that the environment of colonization in our agency, some of us responded by formulating carnival as this space where we push against the colonization. I respect that. But I, as one of them fellas, don't even tell me about decolonizing the space. I'm not going through that. I'm not using the dictionary, the tools, the ways of thinking. It has too many traps.
So how do you
There's too many bombs inside of it. No, we already did that. We called it maroonage. We have in this space whole cultural constructs and technologies that we have exposed in carnival and made popular and commodified it in carnival, but really a system of a different thought. Pan is an example. In 1840, when the West Peninsula started investing heavily in Pan, and they started removing all the spiritual and contextual elements of revolution from it. You go in a Pan yard now, it's not a school, it's not a place where we build revolution, it's not a place of challenge anymore. Look, the formula of learning music, intuitively, spirit-led, based on African and East Indian traditions, was destroyed, and now they have us reading classical music. So our children can't play by ear no more, which was one of the majestic parts of the brain development that would have happened if we learn how we just learn. So I'm just saying that I agree, but a part of me says, me one, I am not using none of them. Aristotle, none of them. None. All fling out.
I want to answer a question.
That's the way.
Any of us here, contrary to Master Benji's stance, found yourself, like your essence, your being, to this point, because your journey is continuing as you are alive, but you've been able to navigate some corners of yourself, including sexuality in carnival, that contributes to who you are today?
I come from an extremely revolutionary background, right? My father was in the coup. So nobody can really tell me about revolution, right? I grew up, anyhow, the way I grew up was, in my opinion, I was raised as a soldier. I wouldn't even say warrior because I have a different understanding of it now. I was raised as a foot soldier, right? Yeah, because she didn't understand. And it was only in Carnival 2020 when I went on the road with Tribe, because before that I had been told this is a pagan festival. I have no access. So Benji speaking from a place of somebody who has an understanding of the overall thing in a way and says, nah, but it's not that. I had nothing. I was told this is a pagan festival, them people and them godless. This is about people just wanting to have sex on the road. And surprisingly, up until that point, a large part of me still was like, yeah, that is not me, boy. I'm not on that, boy. And I went on the road with a song that was making people feel certain things in the, like, you understand? I was going to say in the air, but really was making people feel certain things now, boy. And I telling you, and you'll see it, Lou, that has changed me fundamentally. Now, I understand what Benji's saying. You have to now realize that, all right, you use that change, but within this entire thing here, actually you could be in this little barrel of fish where they're telling you, yeah, there's a pond, boy, all you happy, look at a little rock here, a little algae, all you good to live. But inside of there, something shifted in me fundamentally, Jed.
I want to switch to Ashlee.
No, I thought I would have never played Mass, right? And I played Mass that year with Lost Tribe in 2020. Because, and I've never, who I am now today, I know there was a turning point for Carnival. I played Juve with Tricanal. Best experience, right? And then like being able to like go into yourself and experience that, like really come into yourself.
And this is on the heels of some traumatic years.
And this, oh my God, it was on the heels of a very traumatic year. And you all don't, it was. And then went on the road. I remember walking, I lost my friends, right? And I cried hearing Feel the Love. And I even trying to be no shameless plug, but for real, no, I cried on the road. Because I've never experienced that kind of freedom and that kind of ownership of self, because I'm an awkward person. People usually think, nah, you always out. But no, I'm very awkward. I feel very weird about speaking.
Sorry.
Ashlee, the thing about what you're saying as a DJ who plays on both Tricanal trucks and Lost Tribe trucks, right? I've seen it. Rion L1, big Trinidad artist, come on Tricanal truck and cried. Big Donkey Tears cried because in the moment he felt everything that was there. He was open and exposed to it all. So I do agree with Benji on some aspects of things, right? But I do think that we have been able to find spaces within, like, Tribe and them is not the be all and end all of what Carnival is. Carnival is a living ritual and we cannot escape that. It is. Now, a part of Carnival has been commodified and commercialized and made into whatever. You call them the beige powders paying people. Wherever they decided they wanted, they did it for their audience. Unfortunately, along the way, they capture some other people as well. And they change them into making them think that this is what Carnival is. But we can't deny that there are lessons, life lessons in Carnival. Lessons of consent. Just hear them out, right? Lessons of consent that come from simple things like whining. Yes. Like there's a language that may not be, excuse me, ma'am, can I have a wine, please? No, but it's David wrote a song when he see this woman from a distance and she's shaking she body in a kind of way and she watch him and their eyes make four and they communicate. That is consent. They communicate and then he approaches her and they still communicating. All with their bodies and it's enough respect. And the challenge that we have is being able to articulate that and then say, all right, the same thing you're talking about where our ancestors have all this knowledge and they pass it on verbally and we learn to play pan by ear and whatever the case is. But when the rest of the world want to understand us, I want to understand the way that it works, how do we explain that to them? If not by documenting it.
How do they explain it to us?
By documenting it.
Yes, oral tradition is also a thing. It's a quick thing, right? As I go to thing. Quick.
I had to move around the room though.
Like, when I played Tricanal that year, 2 years I played Tricanal, and I remember Rondel on the truck saying, we don't do no rope thing. Because I remember every other Juve band has rope and they keep it in this kind of thing. I would always donate, but I've never paid the thing to play in Tricanal, but I was still welcome and I still felt safe. I learned rebellion, I learned freedom, I learned to speak up for myself, just by simple things about being on the road and having that kind of freedom. And you know what I learned from Now Year Carnival, which is what it led me into that year, was that sometimes to make change, you have to burn things down. Right? I wouldn't have known that before. But being on the road, I think our carnival, and it depends on who you were around and all, I learned so much that year.
It's one of the things I wanted to stick in real quick. Yeah, good. Yeah.
To add to what you were saying there, a lot of communication gets lost in language now. And we coming from where we come from, like he said, our language that's unique to us isn't always verbal. It isn't always sonically like that. It's not always a Bosendorf. You understand? Sometimes it's a I am a heart, the small one.
Sometimes it's a bambuza.
Sometimes it's a bambuza. You know what I mean? And that's okay. Sometimes we force ourselves to feel like it's not right or in the box of okay because it doesn't reflect like how we were told it's supposed to reflect, or it doesn't fall into the bracket of right or what's, but it's still okay because that's our language and we should own those things too.
Vaughnette, you could see you taking your son to Carnival and using the sights and songs to teach him lessons.
I was raised by Christian grandparents.
Yeah, me too.
Everybody. Yeah, and up till recently, my views on Carnival were aligned to my Christian grandparents. In that I have never, ever participated in Juve in my 48 years. I don't know what it is like to experience. I've never done it. And I've never been interested in doing it. I'm still at this point not particularly interested. It is very strange because for me, I think it's one of the things as a Trinbagonian that if ever I mention to somebody, it's like, what? It's like, because it's almost like, how are you 48 years old in Trinidad and Tobago and don't know what a Juve experience
Like
has
when I
been
tell them
like?
I don't like planting.
You don't like planting? That is a whole nother, we need 20 minutes for you for that.
But carry on, you were saying, but go ahead.
Yeah, so I've never felt connected. And this is no apology or anything like that because I think I'm fine. I've never felt connected to what we deem as carnival, or I felt like I have to go out on the road. I've never felt that. I really would like my son's experience to be different because I think that it's important enough for me to be able to not raise him to particularly have this myopic view of what it is. So expose him to different things. If he likes it, it's fine. If he doesn't like it, it's fine. You understand? But I don't want it to be the way I was raised in that I was told that carnival is of devil proportions, whole devil proportions. You understand? So I'm past that, and I'd like to expose him to different things. But I've really never connected with what we have called carnival. I do think though that there's space for teachings, especially in terms of, I mean, as a musician, I'll talk specifically about the music and some of the rituals that we have associated with music and carnival and how we could sell a narrative through the music. Because the music is so powerful. The music is powerful. So we could sell several narratives through the music that we put out there. And those narratives we could form it. You understand? Of course. So I think that anything could be taught through that medium. But as a Vaughnette Bigford, the person, I've never really connected, and I'm not at that space. I don't think I'm missing anything.
Maybe you're not.
Well, of course I don't know, so that's why I don't think I'm missing nothing.
Let me jump over to Miss Mulrain here. So, you being a fashion model and you alluding earlier to some unpleasant experience concerning your body, and part of the fashion industry, women their agency with their bodies are removed. If you do engage in carnival, do you feel reconciled back to your body again? Do you feel like you're able to own yourself and do whatever you please, and is that empowering in any way?
I can't really answer that question because I've never experienced carnival, like no part of it really. I worked on a tribe truck before, serving drinks, and to me that was really liberating for me, even though I wasn't like a part of the band itself. Just the fact that I could be flexing on a cooler while pouring somebody some Johnny, I was enjoying that, right? And I could go back to like my childhood. The reason why it is I have not experienced carnival, one is because, and I can remember this so distinctly, one evening, Emancipation Day actually, and Ella Andel was playing the Oh La La La, that song, right? That's my favorite song from her. And for some reason, my body just started moving. I don't know what I was doing. I was very awkward. And I ended up like whining and singing to the song. And my grandmother legit stopped me and she was like, not everything you have to whine for. And basically made me feel a type of way for expressing myself, you know? And since then, I started feeling like, you know, maybe I have to like dial it back and not be as expressive and stuff like that. And then I would see it in school where girls, if they're talking to boys, is a whole situation, and then it's always something, right? I've never felt the zeal to participate in carnival until this year, like a few weeks ago actually, because as I started getting older, I started coming into myself, especially within my femininity and my sexuality, and I started feeling like maybe this is something that I want to be a part of, maybe this is something that I need to experience. I kind of saw it as like a rite of passage, and I remember having that conversation prior, I was in a relationship and I had the conversation with my boyfriend at the time and I was like, I'm not really into carnival, I never experienced Juve. I personally don't find it makes sense waking up 2-3 o'clock in the morning to jump up with 30 people and whatever. That was my whole thing, right? And he understood it from that point. But 3-4 weeks ago, I told him I want to experience some fetes. I want to experience playing mass and jumping up on the road. And he looked at me like I was crazy because why you want to experience something like that when before you said you didn't like it, and it was really hard for me to explain to him like something just shifted in me this year. I want to be a part of it. I don't care how, I have to be a part of it, right? And something is just like calling me towards it, and he just didn't understand. But I was like, human beings change. Nobody is constant, and for you to judge me, to make me feel as though like I'm wrong for wanting to be a part of something that is actually my culture, is something that I should want to be a part of anyway. It brought me back to when my grandmother made me feel a type of way about just whining, and you know, like moving forward from that, it was very hard for me to have the conversation with him about wanting to participate in carnival. I don't want to be like having like a thong on and stuff like that. That's not my type of thing. I've always wanted to play with Lost Tribe. And even that, he was very adamant about me not being a part of it because why you want to shake your ass on the road or whatever. And it's like, it's so much more than that, you know? It's so much more than just whining and going down on the ground and stuff. It's kind of liberating. And I felt that when I was just on a tribe truck serving people drinks. And I want to experience that wholeheartedly without it being a job. You know, I want to experience it. I want to be the person who getting the drink.
There's nothing wrong with that, Jen.
Exactly.
But I don't have a solid stand. I see both sides and I understand. What I want to ask is, do you think that in not just this situation, but when you're so passionate or when you have so much information, because you are so knowledgeable on tribes and you know the history, do you think that it creates a barrier for us to see new opportunities in similar situations? So for instance, how she saw a whole different perspective on carnival and he's saying, I just can't. This is just my personal opinion. I'm not going to.
The challenge with me is this. Two things could exist at the same time. Right? I trust me. I feel what you're saying. And I see the value in carnival. Right?
But you
but
also
I'm
made
trapped
a statement
by
when
a
you said
responsibility.
we. Right.
When I see a co-opted technology that functions beautifully, but it's captive. And I know nobody here went to morning ground. Nobody ever here went to feast. So you have no point of reference. And I am now one to point and say, I know what you all feeling and seeing, but I can tell you, it have a next place where you could go. And then when you come back to this other place, it's going to blow you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or,
but it's like what you were saying when you can't really know what you're
right.
searching for.
So the problem is I know now.
Yeah.
Right? As I am a line of stick fighters, my teacher, King Annem Cooper, 83 years old, died. Before he died, he looked at me saying, now it's on you. So I understand that people don't know the mechanics of a live call and response. It's spiritual, trance-inducing process. That's slipping the calypso, it's slipping the soca. So now, soca is soca. And I saying, I hear all in. But I know it come from. So why is to do? Right? Like Juve is a calendar ritual of fire designed for a very specific purpose that you will find on the continent. I just say, hey, all of this is not winding up on each other on the morning. Other things at play. And because I'm a spiritual person and it's emancipation, all our ancestors who gave all their energy to this moment. So when we finally became free, how they feeling now? Like, yo, this is what they're gonna do, what we give all there. It's time more. That's all I'm saying. So that's my problem. My problem is I love what carnival and its technology is, but I also know it's captive. I also know that it's been co-opted. I also know that there is sources of its purer variations right here. So the challenge now is, well, go and look. Go on the morning ground. And then, when you've done all of that, we go talk.
We are buying tickets together. We are buying tickets for that. So I know where I can buy tickets to go try first. I know where I can buy tickets to go and experience that version of Carnival.
Yes.
Where do I get access
And my
to
question-
the spiritual?
Yeah, and my question is gatekeeping, because I know.
That's what it boils down
I
to.
know, and I hear it, and I feel a little way sometimes. Where there's a gatekeeping for to experience
At
that.
time, right? You know,
One minute or
Brigo
less.
Calypso.
I'm running out of time. Answer, 1 minute or less.
Gatekeeping?
Yeah.
In African tradition, the elder will not teach unless the child asks. That's all. You're not asking right.
Right.
How would we know this?
No. Just ask.
I didn't know.
Just
Up to this
now you
point-
know. So today, start asking in your own family. Just ask. I guarantee, I promise you. If nobody want to answer, I know people who will.
But just like real quickly, just something somebody said to me, right? I was singing this Brigo Calypso Voodoo Man.
One
Voodoo
minute
Man
or
tell
less.
me whatever. And the person looked at me because they are apparently of more African descent and look at me and say, Voodoo Man can't tell you nothing, that's my thing.
Because it have them kind of people.
And that's it.
All right.
So it layered now.
We must do our closing now. Starting with you, Jayron, going around the room very quickly. We've been here in this room. We've been feeling the energy of from each other. We've been experiencing some empathy, I hope. Give me your last statement on how you think you would like to live your life moving forward whenever you encounter gender-based violence or conversations like these or people who don't know any better.
Well, I mean, the thing to do when people don't know is to try education first. That's the first step for me. So we can discuss it, we can talk about it. I don't know that I can force change upon you, but with education, the more you learn, the more you know.
Muhammad?
Yeah, I could echo what Jayron says. To create more opportunities for us to really have these type of conversations for real. Because one of the things, like I said in the beginning, we didn't want a panel. Tired of hearing people talking at people, have some real things to dig out. You know what I mean? And yeah, to create more spaces like this where we could really talk the things.
For me, space is important because, as I said before, primarily, unlearning while imparting for me. Unlearning whilst imparting. And I have a young man who I want to raise a particular way, to be sensitive and to be smart and to not have to go through this process that I'm going through right now. And that's my focus. So more spaces like these are absolutely welcome.
You?
I love what she said, and a lot because I come from a single parent home, just a mother, and from like a young age to like middle age, I struggle with fully understanding and like even forgiving my father, them kind of things for different reasons, but only to come to this stage of compassion. I think that's like the most important thing, like knowing that they did the best with their information. And that's always a state that I stay in when dealing with people in general. Like they're doing the best with their information that they have right now. So it's always to just offer that bit of compassion toward what they know.
Ashlee?
For me, it's treating like everyone with compassion and like having like love really be at the center of the things that I think about, but also meeting people where they're at, because I know I exist in a space of privilege where I have the knowledge and the resources in things, in finances, but also with people. But not everyone has that, and I have to really like acknowledge that from time to time and meet people where they're at and be kind, you know. But yes, be kind, yeah.
Benji?
Sylvia Winter said, black women are demonic ground. We all come from black women. You know, if we could find inside ourselves ability to sit inside the center of the space that black women have created, and release the power imbalance, I feel like real things. And I miss all already.
Honestly, just give people compassion. I want to go through life understanding that at first I'm dealing with humans and everyone has a different path that they're going on, and to meet them where they're at. And if I have the ability or the opportunity to help them get to the next step, then I will try to do that.
For me, it would be having this conversation with people who is really difficult to have this conversation. The people who I hear on the radio and I switch the station one time. The people who delete their tweets the people who we so vehemently want to disagree with is those people. The people who don't have the privilege and the knowledge and the resources that we have to have interrogated these things and thought through these things. The people who just kind of operate on autopilot, to me, is that. It's taking this conversation and putting it out in the streets, you know, with the people who not inside here and who will probably never be inside here because we don't cross paths with them or we don't want to. For me, is that.
So y'all just took all my answers. I think to always remember is a choice. It's a choice to learn, a choice to unlearn, a choice to have empathy, a choice to have compassion, and always make that choice in life.
Yeah. And to always be teachable too.
Yeah.
Always be ready to learn.
My final statement is this. Some years ago, I heard a song from India called The Heart of the Matter. And as a big man, I'll tell you, it's the first time a song made me weep. In the chorus, she said, I've been learning to live you, but I miss you sometimes. As the sappy part. The real part is, I've been trying to get down to the heart of the matter, but my will gets weak and my thoughts seem to shatter, but I think it's about forgiveness. Forgiveness, even if you don't love me anymore.
That song is by Don Henley. It's by the Eagles.
Hey.
Covered by India Area.
I reveal my age. This has been Full Circle, everybody. Thank you for being here. I feel really fulfilled. I definitely feel more empathetic. And before we disperse, we'll have a short word from one of our partners who helped to make all of this happen. Thank you again for coming out.